Hi everybody. So my name is Michael Bishop. I am the creator and choreographer of Mannequins After Dark. The film was shot by Darlena Chiam, my videographer, and was also I had featured two dancers, Maeva Bodrum and Roxy Young, who are friends of mine who are also in the video. You'll see them dancing alongside me. So this video was inspired by recent political and social events that's been happening in our country that deal with racial injustice, and I linked it to the historical references of racial injustice in our country. So you'll see things like the flower petal, you'll see the hands up, don't shoot motif, and you'll see just different things that are going to be like signifying all of those racial issues that have like been going throughout our country's history. I was really inspired by a quote that just kept running through my mind when I was thinking about creating this video. And in that quote, it says, I thought, out of the mouths of the oppressed springs life. And for me, that meant that for those who are oppressed, they always want the truth to come forward so that those who are doing the oppressing can be stopped in so many ways. And in that truth, change can happen. In that truth, things can be awoken, people's realities can be realized and fought for in so many different ways. So that was a major quote that stuck in the back of my mind. Out of the mouths of the oppressed springs life and springs truth. And you'll see that in the motif of the flower and the motif of the motif of the flower and the moment where the flower is in our mouths and we're laying on the ground with our eyes closed. To me, that signified all of the lives of those who were taken from us to get to this point where truth can be one, spoken of, and two, realized in our current situation in this country. So many people have died before us so that the things that we are fighting for now can actually be fought for. Because there was a time where our voices weren't even chosen, weren't even an option of being heard. And even now, where our voices are continually being stifled, we're at least given a platform to where we can speak. And that wasn't always the case in this country. And so I was very influenced by the historical reference of racial injustice. I was very influenced by the current state of racial injustice, and how could I match those things together to say, in a lot of ways, that though we've come so far, the very things that they fought for back in the time before I was born, before generations before me came, we're still dealing with those issues today, and we will never see that change. Sorry, I'm in Italy right now, so preparing for a tour, and I'm swatting away flies, as you can see, because I'm outside and there's flies everywhere. But yeah, so that was a general concept of the piece, like how the racial injustice of our country, past and present, and potential future if we are to continue on the path that we're going on. Mannequins After Dark came from the name came from the idea of like me being inspired by the simple act that has spanned the history of or the context of our existence in this country as African Americans and as people of color. We're always coupled with the idea that we are only here to do and not speak, and not to be heard, and not to have any rights or any voice to anything. And I thought about that, and I thought about the fact that you look at a mannequin, and the only existence that mannequin portrays is the existence that's given to them when they're in a display window. They can't be no more than what somebody else has told them they are. And when you think about the history of our country and how people of color have been treated in this country, that's what you get. You can't speak out because we're giving you this and you should be happy with that, so shut up. You don't have a voice. You're only 3/5 human. You're not, it's just so many things that try to label us as less than what we are. And so that continuation from past into present is very prevalent. And you see that in today's fights with the Black Lives Matter movement, and how we can't protest in any form, because no matter how we protest, it's always going to be wrong. We can't talk about the things we can't talk about certain injustices that are being brought upon because we should be satisfied with the rights that we have, because not so long ago we didn't even have those rights. So we should be satisfied with that and not have to and not speak out against it. And so you see those things threaded throughout our history and our existence in this country. And you see people who will say things like, well, you didn't deal with slavery, so why do you feel like you're so affected by it? Well, because I'm black, and I still have to deal with the issues of systemic injustice that comes with my skin color. I'm black, so I still have to deal with the ideologies of racial stigmas that are placed on me simply because of my skin color, not because I've actually done anything wrong, but just because my skin color is darker. So those things still have a presence in our current country's history, in our current country's situations. But the idea that we shouldn't be affected by it and we shouldn't speak out against it is also very deeply rooted in past generations and in past racial platforms that have been, deeply embedded in this country's existence, and just the simple format of how this country is formed. So all of those things play a major role in what we're dealing with in today's situation, in our current political and social standings right now. So many of our issues that we deal with today are not because of things that just all of a sudden reappeared, but it's because of things that have been continuously ignored and continuously put aside and continuously told there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to fight about, there's nothing to argue about, there's nothing to have a conversation about, because all of these things are made up in your mind, all of these things are figments of your imagination. And if we don't continue to speak out, the actual work will never get done, and we'll continue to be in this situation where all of a sudden one day that pot will overboil, and you'll see the repercussions of all of those things that have not been dealt with because of people's lack of interest and desire to want to deal with them. And there's Mannequins After Dark, so another side note about the title of the name, Mannequins After Dark. We spoke about what the inspiration behind the word mannequins, and after dark is kind of like, light can only be shined in darkness. Yeah, so you can't see light in light. You can see light in darkness. And there's the same thing with truth. There's truth does not need itself to be explained, but darkness needs to hide truth. And so truth can shine through darkness in so many ways. So if you're in a battle and all around you there's people who are telling you that you're wrong, that you're not doing something the right way and things like that, if that one person comes to you with the softest voice and speaks truth, that will outshine anything around it that's dark. And that's kind of also where that name came from, Mannequins After Dark, because we as humans, we continue to raise our voices. People of color continue to raise their voices in the cover, not in the cover, but in the shrouding of darkness, to speak out against any injustice and any wrongdoings. And we're constantly being told that we shouldn't in so many ways. We're constantly being told that we're wrong for doing it. We're constantly being told that we're just wrong. That's what we're constantly being told. By people who don't understand the struggle, who don't understand the injustice, who never had to deal with those injustices. And so they don't understand why it's so important for those things to be fought for and to be fought against. And so there was that. And then you'll see the components of fashion that I also implemented into the video. I'm very driven by merging together dance and fashion to create a social justice platform that is more palatable for a broader audience. So I don't want to just like beat a dead horse and label or just do one thing only, and then it completely misses the marginal, like reaching out to a multi-genre of people, like a multi-generation. I want everybody to be able to see this work and be entertained by it, but then deeply be moved by it and start to see similarities and symbolisms that are like embedded in the work. So I have a few references in terms of jewelry that are referencing like different types of historical, cultural ideologies in the African American culture. And also there's one point where you see me with this piece of jewelry, like this necklace around my neck that I take off, and that's symbolic of a shackle that we had, that people of African American descent were forced to wear around their neck when they first came into this country for the slave trade. You'll see one girl when she has these beadings and these diamonds and things that are on her head, and that covering, that's symbolic of the African garbs and jewelry that they would adorn themselves with back in Africa before the whole slave trade and the traditions of that So you'll see a lot of that. You'll see more modern types of clothing that shows that transition from Africa to America, and us trying to assimilate into a culture that doesn't really care to have us in it. Just there's so many layers to this that I hope that you grasp, and I hope that you see, and I hope that you take away with you. And I really want this to just start a conversation that goes beyond simply race, and that goes deeper into the existence of what we have today, and how that can be changed, and how that can be improved upon. And I just want this to inspire people to come together. No matter what your skin color is, no matter what race or nationality you identify as, I want people to come together in art and express themselves and be able to open up to each other and learn from each other and love from each other and grow from each other, and not shun each other based on their differences and their color and their experiences in this country, or any country for that matter. So yes, that is my inspiration behind Mannequins After Dark. That is my passion for this video. And I hope I didn't go on too long. I know I tend to ramble. But yes, again, my name is Michael Bishop, the choreographer, producer, all of those good things. And Darlene Achim is the videographer. Maeva Boldrum and Roxy Young are my co-dancers. And I hope you guys, when you see the video, that you enjoy it, and that you get a lot from it. So thank you again for inviting me into your space to share the work that I've created. Thank you.